Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you? I'm sorry I screwed up the times. I was like,
I did.
it was okay. Awesome.
It was me. It was all my fault. Don't take an edible 3 hours before you're supposed to do an interview. I
I was
was
just thinking about that. I was like, I think I should take an edible right now, and then it'll kick in like 30 minutes into the interview, and it'll be great.
yeah. I was like, I'm sitting here looking through my the emails from you because I got all your socials up in front of me, and then I have your email right there, and I was like, it said 5:30, and I'm like, oh shit, did I miss it?
No, I totally I sat in, I think we did say 5:30 because I was here and I was ready, and then I looked at the invite and I was like, oh my God, I'm dumb. And whoops,
Yeah.
all good. I have nothing else going on. My day is pretty much over, so
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
you live in a cool part of the country, up in Boulder. Never
Yeah,
been. Heard lots of good things about it though.
I wish it wasn't snowing right now, but other than that, it's great.
Yeah, it's beautiful here right now.
Where are you?
California, Northern California.
Oh, yeah. California just has great weather all the time.
Oh yeah, but we pay for that weather too. That's why it's so expensive to live here, amongst
True.
other reasons.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado's not too far behind you in pricing.
Yeah, well, everything's about to change, I think.
Oh, I'm like excited and nervous about that. We'll see what the economy does.
Let me introduce you real quick. So, to my audience, this is Emily Richards. Emily is the co-host of the Mary Jane Experience podcast,
That's
among
right.
amongst other things, as well as actually the Mary Jane Experience website. I was just looking at that. Got a lot of good stuff on there.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's I
We,
mean it's got a lot of information. I mean, as well as the obvious things. But I mean it's not just marijuana. It's uh, all psychedelics, correct?
yeah, so I mean, we started as a cannabis podcast to just sort of educate ourselves. There wasn't really enough information out there, and we were like, fine, we'll make it ourselves. But since we've transitioned, or not transitioned, but we've just sort of expanded to involve psychedelics. Psilocybin has been decriminalized here in Denver and in Oakland as well.
In
I think that,
Oakland too.
yeah, right? It's pretty cool. Yeah. It was pretty recent. I can't tell you the date, but also just health and wellness in general. So many of our listeners are immunocompromised or looking for cannabis as a way to improve their health. And so our goals are also to just bring you any kind of good information that can enhance your life in a more holistic, sort of plant-based way. So we're doing a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't had a chance to check out any of the episodes, but I subscribed today, and that's actually going to be one of my. I'm going to start rotating that one in.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've been working hard.
so let's see. One of the things you guys focus on that website that I've seen is holistic health, correct?
Definitely.
And I am actually, and I think I read in one of the stories, or maybe it was as one of your Instagram posts, or no, or maybe it was actually even a Twitter post. But you were talking about, or somebody was talking about, and you were in the conversation, using edible marijuana to get off of opiates.
Yeah, I think that's a really fascinating conversation, especially right now. We all know that there's a pretty serious opioid crisis in this country. And there's a lot of studies that point to cannabis helping people get off of opioids. If you ask somebody like the USDA, Food and Drug Administration, they will tell you that that is not a solution. But if you ask people that have done it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
See, so yeah, we interviewed a woman in Vegas not too long ago, and she used cannabis solely to get off of like 500 prescriptions she was on. So it's a very, I think, viable option. We've seen people also microdose psychedelics to get off of opioids. If anything, oh my goodness, you've done it all.
But not to get off, not to get off of opioids. I did that after everything else, just microdosing in just to try it out. Because everybody's doing it. I live near Silicon Valley, and everybody in tech is doing it. You know what I mean, for creativity and getting better ideas. And it also, I mean, it's a natural, like whatever Prozac's called in that category of what it cures. You know what I mean? Depression, an antidepressant.
Yeah,
and a lot different. Yeah, and a lot different than marijuana. When you take an edible and for pain, because that's what I switched it out for pain in my knees and just from other things. And it's don't even get me started on that road, because you can go down a million different ways as to why it's being kept from us.
Definitely. I mean, we could get into theories, but I think everybody knows them already.
Yeah.
But I think microdosing is really interesting. So, and I think it's something, I'm just going to kind of clear up the definition, because I didn't really even know myself for a while. Technically, microdosing is like you don't even feel the effects. So you're not like tripping every day or something like that. You're taking such a small amount of mushrooms or cannabis or whatever substance you want that you don't feel high, but you do get the effects of maybe feeling a little more pleasant and happy. And the creativity, like you said, with Silicon Valley tech people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are afraid of microdosing because they don't want to get high. And that's not the point.
No, it actually really it isn't. And there, because I capped up my own and everything else with, however I did it. And I think I was doing, I think it's 0.2. And so 0.2 kind of got me a little bit tired. Like I noticed, like it got me a little sleepy on the onset. And then two capsules is like 0.4. That was the dose for me, because I did 3, and then that was a little bit too much. Then you start to feel a little bit of the onset of where it gets into the body. Yeah, well, not so much that, but it just gets into your body, and you start to feel like just before you start peaking. You know what I mean? And so to me, that was just a little bit too much, and so I scaled it back to the other one, and it just the word you were looking for is well-being. That's what the feeling is. It's just like the feeling of well-being. Like, okay, like no matter whatever's happening in your head or around you, or you know what I mean. It blocks it out. It lets you know, okay, everything's cool.
Yeah.
Let's attack this problem now. You know what I mean? Versus
cannabis too, microdosing. I don't get high every day before I go to work just because I have a weed podcast. And I love taking small doses to where you would never really know you're high, but then you're on a walk and you're looking around and you're like, the world is just so beautiful and I'm so grateful to be in it. Whereas like I might have been in a bad mood that day. And then I realized, I'm like, oh yeah, I microdosed. It really is a valuable tool. And if we could destigmatize it, more people could accept that into their lives, into a routine. It'd be so interesting. It'd make the world a better place.
No, for sure. I was thinking about this today when I was like, well, what am I going to talk about? I mean, besides weed, besides the obvious. Oh, damn. Just saying that.
I think you bring up a really good point, too, with experimenting with the dose. And I know that probably is intimidating for a lot of people, but everybody's systems are so different that unfortunately, like, experimentation in plant medicine is kind of like, you have to. So you like start real small and work your way up. But everybody's bodies are so different with this. There's no one dose that fits anybody. So
Yeah.
like zero point 0.4 for you, it'd probably be zero point 0.2 for me.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. But I mean, that's why I would think microdosing is cool because I mean, if you stay within that that little window there, between zero point 0.2 and zero point 0.8, not much is going to happen, and it won't. And if it does, it's not going to last for very long.
Yeah, definitely.
With what I'm experiencing, because I make my own chocolate, so is it's really difficult to get the dosage correct throughout the whole bar. You know what I mean? And even when I'm mixing it up very well with the right temperatures, and making sure everything is dissolved, it's still some pieces I'll take it just like what I did earlier. It's what I would normally take, and I'm fine. And this, I guess there was some, stuck in one piece of chocolate. I don't know.
I think edibles are really tough that way. I think that's something that like, if you look at the legal cannabis industry, before it was legal, we were all like making brownies and making our own chocolate bars. Like, obviously we can't buy mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
But now that it's legal, these companies have gone into labs and made sure that all of these edibles are like dosed to perfection, which is really great for consumers who always know what you're going to get. But when you're making it at home, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't really give you a good way to get over that.
No, it's just, it is what it is. There's going to be some pieces that are not, going to get you higher than you want to be.
Yeah. But getting too high can sometimes be an amazing experience. And I think that is also a medicine in its own right. And like getting a little bit out of your comfort zone and, experiencing being too high can be very interesting. And I think that's where a lot of cool work is done, a lot of cool personal work, and there's actually a lot going on these days with psychedelic therapy, which I think is I've never tried it. I've done psychedelics, but I've never done it intentionally thinking like, okay, I'm going to have somebody guide me through my problems. That sounds like a lot, but I think it's cool that that's going on right now.
Yeah, I looked into a retreat where you can go for 3 days. Well, they have longer ones, but the one I was looking at was like 1,700, and I think you had to come up with your flight there. So 1,700, and it's somewhere where stuff like that is legal in another country. It's I can't even remember where it actually was, but I was like, all right, 1,700. That doesn't seem bad. That's like at the most 25, maybe 3, but you only get 3 grams, which is probably a lot. I mean, I guess it could be a lot. 3 grams of mushrooms. They put you on a trip. They guide you through it. You process it. You process it the next day, and then you're off on a plane again.
Yeah.
I actually,
Psychedelic tourism is definitely a thing. Like, I've thought about doing that too, like going down to Costa Rica for an ayahuasca retreat.
yeah, that'd be cool.
There's a lot of places in the world where that kind of stuff is legal, but you do have to travel, generally speaking, unless you're doing something underground.
Yeah.
Which I bet there's plenty of out there.
Yeah, I've done too many underground things in my life. I don't like cages anymore. So, I've done my share of being locked away. So I'm on the straight and narrow now. I mean, I still do other stuff, but I mean, it's like, not the other stuff, but like, I'll take mushrooms here, not being legal. I actually was going to take that was the whole reason why I wanted to do the microdosing, because I actually do want to go on a trip and do some work. You know what I mean? Because there's some things that are in my behavior pattern. You know what I mean, of how I treat people sometimes that I don't like. And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's time for a trip to see what's going on in there. You know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I've a girlfriend of mine and I, we're like, we're in our 30s now and we just want to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And one thing that somebody was telling me that has done psychedelic therapy and even just therapy with cannabis, with weed, is that you can do years of therapy in a way shorter amount of time when you add these substances. So it gets you there faster, which just sounds fascinating to me. Like, I mean, I think it's intense and you have to be willing to go through a serious experience, but to be able to do in a day what might take months is, well, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, it is. It falls really in line with how I think and what I do. With my podcast and how I got to where I am, and it was all just kind of. I mean, I still have a little bit of an ego, but I mean, the more self reflection I do, you know what I mean. The ego starts to shed little by little because you're starting to I'm starting to look at myself a little bit more deeply. Why is this happening? Why did I do this? You know what I mean? And just trying to make sure that I don't have anything to apologize for the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, and not like that happens all the time, but I mean, it's just, for me, it's a good way to go through life. Hey man, let's just try not to come across anything or do anything today that's going to, make you have to apologize for it tomorrow.
Definitely. It's hard work to do. I mean, we're all humans. We, grew up in families where our parents weren't perfect, or maybe our whole situations weren't perfect. Maybe we have trauma or micro traumas. And then to get that out of your system, I mean, and a lot of people believe in past life traumas, and trying to clear your system of all that craziness it's hard work no matter who you are. You have to be willing to put in a lot. So
Yeah, I think that if more people were like our brand of like individuals that thought that way and weren't so ego driven, and I mean, and it's really easy to be ego driven in society today. I mean, I get it, but I mean, look at where we're at now. What has all that ego gotten you? Where's all this, concentration on wealth and whatever things that are happening in the government or, supposedly happening in the government. Look at where we're at now. Everybody's
yeah.
having no choice but to, probably get the fuck in your house and think about yourself.
I know, it's sort of like the great thing about, and I hate to say great thing about coronavirus, but the interesting thing about what's going on right now with COVID-19, no matter who you are or what job you have or status in life, you're stuck at home. And it's making Mother Nature happy. All of a sudden, the canals in Venice are clear and we can see dolphins. But it's hard times for a lot of people. But it's interesting to see everybody sort of humbled by the current events.
Yeah,
certainly.
We're going learning how to communicate in a different way. This is huge. I mean, this is the way right now.
Yeah.
And it actually is not a bad way.
No, I mean, we've been doing this since well before the virus. I like the in-person interviews better. It's great to be able to see somebody right in front of you. But, I'm not in California right now, so we wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, you can actually get your medical marijuana card via telemedicine now. You can just do this, what we're doing right now, with a doctor, and he'll prescribe you weed.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. You don't even have to leave your house to get your medical marijuana.
Yeah, I steer clear of the legit shops around here. They're just, I mean, I don't know about how it was in Colorado when it first started, but the taxes on this out here are just outrageous. It's almost like they've taxed it so high that they've forced there to still be a black market.
Yeah, I think California is one of the worst, but I'm pretty sure it's bad taxation everywhere. And it really makes it almost impossible for companies to survive and thrive. And like you said, I mean, it forces the black market. But I do think that one of the best things you can do if you can, is to just grow your own.
Yeah, that would be the best way to do it, but unfortunately, that's I mean, even though it's legal here in California, there's still counties and municipalities that still are as an ordinance against it.
So crazy that we can't grow plants.
Right?
Like, I understand you don't want people having meth labs. That seems very responsible. But I can grow some
That was
plants from
funny.
seed in my backyard that, like, yeah, they get you kind of high, but they never killed anyone. It's just like blows my mind.
Yeah, that sure does. And
Even,
We have Harry Anslinger to thank for that.
yeah, a bunch of old assholes. It's even crazy with hemp and CBD. Like there's a lot of people that don't want us to have access to these plants for whatever reason that may be, and it's not fair for patients and for our communities that could just be using hemp fiber because it's sustainable, simply because it's sustainable.
And it's a superior product.
Yeah,
Everything that, I mean, if it were legal federally, it would be considered a commodity like corn and all these other products that have multiple uses for them. You know what I mean? So you would think that, like, that's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you not want to introduce another product into the market? I mean, if this is a free market, right? Why wouldn't you want to introduce a product that has the potential to yield you maybe 40 to 50 other products? You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that would create jobs, right? I mean,
right.
you would think that. I mean, I would think you get 50 new things that you need to start producing on a scalable level. That's going to require labor. you know,
Definitely.
I,
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons. There's no one reason, of course, but it hasn't, justice has not been done in this country as far as cannabis goes. And I mean, people are in prison still for cannabis. I think
mm-hmm.
that's the craziest, like small amounts. That's like the most fucked up thing ever, that we're all sitting here like having a weed podcast and just buying edibles at a store, and people are still suffering. And even when they get out of prison, their lives are changed. Their lives have been messed up. So
Yeah,
cannabis has its fair share of problems, that's for sure.
yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, I would much rather hang out in a room full of people that are stoned. No, I mean on any, you know what I mean, than are steadily drinking. You know,
Definitely.
it's just a huge difference in the attitude and the hostility that one creates no hostility and an inviting environment with a feeling of well-being. Hey, welcome, come in. You know what I mean? And it just, and I don't care. I mean, I know how, hippie culture. And it's like, dude, it's not. I don't look at it as hippie culture. I look at it as an opportunity
Yeah,
to
well, that's such a
engage.
crazy stereotype, the
Yeah,
whole hippie thing. And like, to be fair, I'm a pretty big hippie, but I think it's a huge stereotype to say that like weed smokers are hippies. Like business people are weed smokers. Like
yeah, everybody is now.
everybody smokes weed. And you're absolutely right about the comparison between weed and alcohol. I mean, alcohol is poison and cannabis is medicine. And alcohol kills people and makes people violent and angry. And cannabis just, I mean, like, might make you a little goofy, silly. Maybe you'll talk a little too much. That might be annoying, whatever. But there's really not a lot of terrible side effects.
Yeah, somebody may actually like you, and you may make a friend
Yeah.
because
And you'll remember it,
yeah, right.
maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, but I really think that, with this whole shelter in place deal and everything that's going to follow this, I think we're in the easy phase of this right now, where, I mean, everybody's not suffering any huge hardships yet, but those times could be coming. So I know that I'm a guy that, hey, look, I don't like the I don't trust the government. They, any chance that they can lie to you, they will. They do horrible things to their own population, and I mean, we're nothing. All governments do horrible things to their own populations. I mean, we're not, and maybe not all, but I mean, it's fair to say that they kind of all have the same playbook.
Definitely. No,
And
I mean, especially this current administration, I wouldn't say is my top favorite
oh,
that I've ever had.
that thing that got sent out this morning that I sent out,
Oh yeah.
man, so, and this is the thing about confirmation bias. All right, and they did this really cleverly too. They put everything in there that people would agree with, like, oh, obviously, yeah, term limits, and congressmen don't get to have a lifetime whatchamacallit, like after their first term they can retire and have full pay,
Yeah.
and all of these special treatments and laws that they write for themselves to enrich themselves. And that was the first part of it, and then I just like, oh, okay, well, I agree with that, and now I'm going to share it with everybody because, like, everybody needs to know this. And
Yeah.
then I sent it out, and I get a couple of fact check things shot back at me, and I'm just like, oh damn, I did it again, man. Not reading the whole thing, because if I had seen that it said your President Trump said X, Y, and Z, then I would probably have copied it, removed what I didn't want out of it, and then redone it, because I mean, I agree with the message.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed with the message as well. It just, and I didn't know who you were either. Like, we had never met, so I was like, well, who knows? And like, the message is there, and it's not like every single thing Trump does is completely evil, although most of them. But,
Well, he's just
I
no
was
different.
talking about that this morning. Is like social media culture. It's so easy to just read a little tidbit and not read the whole thing, or even like just reading the title of an article and being like, oh, weed cures cancer, perfect, I'm gonna go smoke a bunch of weed. But in reality, like, the article was like, weed cures cancer if you do this, this, and this too.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so not reading the whole articles these days is kind of a huge problem we're having.
yeah. And I
I've done
caught
it myself a million times.
yeah, and I caught myself in it today, and then I sent out a retraction. So here's the funny thing about that: I was doing it on my cell phone, and like, I have horrible vision. Like, I can't see shit on my phone unless I have glasses, and even then, it's kind of a pain in the ass to do the to do an actual post that's lengthy. And so I went in, and I'm like, all right, well, this is what I'll do. I'll write my apology message and put all that in there. Hey, sorry, I didn't read this. You know what I mean? And here's some fact checking sites. And if you want to look yourself. And I meant to just put that on there, but the whole damn thing even the whole speech went in the middle of it. And so I'm like, and I didn't look at it. And again, I'm like, boom, 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 all to all the people that I sent it out to, like, hey, sorry, I'm a jackass. And some of them are like, dude, I'm not reading that whole thing again.
Like social media, it's such a like blessing and a curse, right? I mean, we're here podcasting, we're creating information for people to listen to, and half the time I'm like, am I worthy of sharing this information? Like, I hope so. I think I've done enough research, but there's always the opportunity for me to be wrong. So I just like to keep it open and be like, I might be wrong all the time. And if I am, I will admit to it, and I will completely, like, I'll change my ways.
Yeah, I'm not married to anything. Like, if there's something that I think, and that my thought process or what I'm thinking is false, and you have something to back it up, and you have a good argument, I'll listen to you. Because I don't know everything. I mean,
you have to stay open-minded.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing with cannabis and psychedelics and plant medicine that I'm just trying to get through to people is just be open-minded. Try CBD, like, that won't get you high, and maybe see if that helps you. Like, just accept that this is a beautiful thing, and don't, like, continue to believe reefer madness. We all know that's wrong now. So just, like, the ability to be open-minded, I think, is a really great quality.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking through my stuff, and your co-host or the somebody that you work with, is that Strawberry?
I'm actually Strawberry Sequoia.
You're Strawberry Sequoia. Okay.
Yeah, that's so when we started the podcast, I was working in technology. I was marketing for a video conferencing company, and I didn't want them to know that I had a weed podcast because they were based on the East Coast. And then my husband, who is my co-host, his pen name or alias is Casey Jones.
Okay. What's up, Casey?
Yeah, Casey Jones is actually back there on the couch behind me.
I know, that's why I said what's up, Casey, because I see you motion back to him.
Well, that one. But we named ourselves after strains of weed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, fitting.
Yeah, right. So a little bit more about your podcast. Like, what is so as how long have you been doing the show?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half. You got about 25 or 26 episodes.
I think we posted our 46th episode today.
Ah, okay, nice.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was looking at.
We're almost to 50.
Yeah. What's your one of the things that, like, I'm at 31 right now. I've been doing it for a little bit over a year, but it hasn't been consistent. I did it for 2 months, went hard in the paint with it, and then had to go back to my real job, which, is in construction. So, I mean, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm, out and then commuting an hour and a half each way, sometimes 2 on the way back because of, traffic. And by the time I get home, plus I'm a co-parent, so not a lot of time for it. I make a lot of excuses too, so that doesn't help. But I mean, yeah. And then I took a 2-month hiatus, got back on it, took another 3 months, and then once this thing hit, I'm like, dude, you gotta get busy, man.
Well, I think that is another silver lining of COVID. Is a lot of people are getting back to their passions and hobbies and, like, working on their side hustles, and not everybody, and I don't think that you have to by any means. Like, vegging on the couch is fine by me, but I think it's interesting how many people are getting back to their side projects that they really want to do.
Yeah, and it also gave me a chance to, because when I first started, I did a bunch of episodes, and then I saw a lot of stuff. As you probably know, when you first do a show, there's things that you do that annoy you, and you think that, well, if I'm annoyed by it, then everybody else must just hate listening to it. And so you got to go through that period of, the silly mouth noises that you make, clicks, learning how to get up, where your sweet spot is on your microphone and your setup. And so, yeah, I was able to, see all that and then come back this time around with that knowledge of, okay, this is what I don't want to do. Let's try to steer away from doing these things. This is where I fell short before. Let's try and, you know what I mean? Let's work on that and make that a priority. So
Yeah, honing in is quite the process. And like my co-host is my husband, so like I'm always giving him shit too. I'm like hypercritical of myself, but I'm also like, you need to stop saying so much. So having two of us is like double trouble. But it's also a flexible creative medium, and I think I try and tell myself like you don't have to be perfect. You just have to create. So easier said than done. But
yeah, I don't do a lot of editing. I got sucked into taking out all of the which on an hour interview or 45-minute interview, that's like, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on how many there are. Yeah, it takes forever. And then not to mention all the other things that go into it, because a lot of, you don't realize what goes into producing a podcast. I mean, even if it's out of your own home and not professional, I mean, if it sounds somewhat decent, it's going to take you about, I don't know, anywhere from 2 to 8 hours, depending on how efficiently you want to go in at it.
Definitely. It's a lot of work, but it is satisfying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's all part of the fun.
Yeah. I mean, satisfaction for mine is just, I mean, it gives me something to do, and it's a way for me to heal through expressing my stories while listening to others as well in an exchange,
Yeah, it's a great way to connect. I mean, I not only with, each other as podcasters who were interviewing each other per se, but also with our communities. We're, at least for us, we've connected with so many beautiful people in the cannabis industry, or not even in the industry, but just that have a lot of questions. And we've been able to make these really cool new friendships with people all over the country and world even. On our live stream today, we had somebody from Switzerland asking a lot of questions.
Wow.
And I thought, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, that is. It's nice to know when people, when you're reaching people, when you start getting to the point where people will reach out to you or hit you on social media or email you or whatever, and reviews, tell you that you're doing a good job. That those are all good things, And the funny thing is, they don't take very much. What is it? 3 clicks and a couple of pokes, and you're good.
I know. I'm always trying to tell people, especially friends and family, if you want to support us, there's a couple ways that are completely free and take about 2 minutes of your time. A review, a 5-star, a like on the Facebook,
Yeah.
the Facebook. But, really simple ways, just a share. And it's amazing how people just don't do it. Like, I don't think my friends and family even listen to my podcast. I think it's all, and to be fair, I have a very niche podcast. It's about cannabis. Not everybody's interested in that. But I think 99% of our listenership was just built over time.
Yeah.
It's not our peeps, but they're our peeps now.
Yeah. Time and consistency. That seems to work for a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely.
The formula, at least. I mean,
we
even
try and stay consistent. And for the most part, we are.
So, of all the episodes that you've done so far, what are your favorite ones? If you had to pick one, I know that you probably love them all. Just like there was something uniquely special about all the ones that I've done, but there are a couple that I'm like,
babies.
Yeah.
I would say one of my favorite episodes was we were in Aspen, Colorado, And we saw that G Love, I don't know if you're familiar with his music, but he plays with a band called G Love and Special Sauce.
Oh yeah, no, I know it. That makes sense. I recognize the
Yeah,
special sauce.
exactly. So, and he's Philly based, and that's where I'm from. So I've been listening to his music since I was a kid. And I just reached out to him on Instagram and said, would you be up to come on my podcast and talk about weed? And he was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And so we got to go backstage to the green room at this cool little venue called the Belly Up. And G Love's, he's pretty famous. He has a pretty big following. So, and he's been in music for, since I was a kid. I mean, I don't know, 25, 30 years. So his stories about the plant and how it inspired him as a musician, you know, when he started smoking weed was when he started diving into his music. And he also has all these cool stories about smoking weed with Snoop Dogg and, you know, the whole spectrum of interesting stories that you can only really get from a rock star.
Yeah, yeah,
So
right.
that was really cool for me. I don't interview a lot of rock stars, and I haven't really tried to. So I loved that, but I also I love talking to everybody. I love talking to small herbalists about their little like mini weed gardens that are, you know, run by the stars and stuff. So, you know, and we've talked to a lot of CEOs of cannabis companies just to see how the industry runs. So I would say that's like just one of the cooler ones. But yeah, like you said, I have a soft spot in my heart for all of the episodes that I've ever done.
Yeah, it's I I love doing it, man. I think it's fun. It gives me a sense of purpose and you know something to look forward to also to challenge too. You know, because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint by any means.
It's very true. I mean, we started as a podcast and are now a whole multimedia company. We do advertising and marketing for brands even beyond cannabis and CBD, just health and wellness and random stuff. We create content, do videography and photography. It's become my full-time job. So going from like this little idea of a weed podcast to something that pays bills and is able to be a job that I have passion for is, I mean, it's just been such a great journey.
That's the American dream, right?
I think so. Well, one of them.
I mean, to
I
be
don't want
able.
to white picket fence, but
Oh, I mean, so I mean, we all of our everything needs a reboot from the way because I mean, technology, society, everything has moved so fast in the last 20, 30, 40 years that I mean, everything needs a reboot and a shift. You know, so I don't. To me, that's the if you're doing what you love and have turned your hobby into your and passion into something that's lucrative and pays your bills. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
yeah, agreed. I mean, I think it's a lot more glamorous than I make it sound. I mean, it's a lot less glamorous than it sounds in the way where, you know, you're constantly like stressed out. And I mean, you know, there's obviously a lot more than just, yeah, I like talk about weed all the time and then I make money. But yeah, I think it's a lot more satisfying than just like going to work for the man.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that's a great note to end on.
definitely. Well, hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great conversation. Love talking about weed and different topics like that. One thing that I'll probably do, I'll shoot you an email, and anything that you want to appear in the show notes, just go ahead and drop it in that email so I don't screw up your places.
Yeah, no worries. I'll just give you the links to like our website and social media. And yeah, I don't know if there's, and if you
If you
see
like a
anything,
bio or of your
yeah,
story,
you can put the
or
bio and
yeah,
pictures if you want
yeah,
pictures.
yeah, picture too, because I'll send you a promo artwork with the sound thing and the wavy lines in it.
Awesome. I'll put it on all of our social channels and we'll see if we can get some listens.
Cool, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much. It's nice to meet you
Uh,
and good luck with all this going on. Be safe and well.
yeah, you too. And bye, husband.
Say bye. I think he's got headphones on. He's
Okay.
editing some video for us.
Oh, right on. Cool, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.